Good morning. Welcome to a yoga/stretching series that is designed for those of us that are getting up there in age and it's getting harder to get out of bed every morning. So it's a series of exercises that are just basic stretches, focus on the breathing techniques. If you have some yoga props and you want to use them, that's great. I'll show you how we use the strap, and then for the yoga block, we'll use that in a couple sequences, maybe to put behind your back or underneath your back to give you a little more boost if you can't do that pose. The series is broken down into 30-second and 60-second segments. Some of the exercises, I'll make you aware that they are for 60 seconds. Most of the exercises are for 30 seconds. And then if we do a right and a left, it's 30 seconds on each side. The routine will begin in a minute. We will first start with Shavasana for 30 seconds, and then we will go into a series of poses that loosen us up every morning to help us get the day going. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to start in Shavasana. You're going to hear a gong for each time that we switch into a different pose. For the 1-minute poses, you'll do them for 2 gongs. In Shavasana, you just lay on your back with your feet spread apart a little bit, your hands out, and just relax comfortably, just normal breathing right here. The breathing we're going to use is more of a diaphragmic breathing, where we breathe into the belly and then up through like you're filling up a pitcher of water, but you're doing it with the air into your chest cavity, into your system. A lot of the breathing is done so that you can, as you breathe in, you expand and contract the lungs, and as you exhale, you find a little more space. After Shavasana, we're going to go into just a regular full body stretch. You can loosen things up, maybe move your feet back and forth, make all the room you can in that lower back. So what you're focusing on is putting the extra length into your lower back. Okay? And so basically we're breathing into the lower back, expanding those muscles, and then stretching them out a little bit on the exhale, contraction of air. Okay, and you just keep that process going. Next pose we're going to go into is just a basic pose, loosening up the wrists. So with the arms at our side, just turn the wrists back and forth. And this is going to be a series of 3 poses that we're going to do in about a minute. So we're going to go from the wrists, start moving at the elbows. We're just loosening up those joints. And then from the elbows, we're going to go to a bent arm pullover, just kind of extending the arms, sending them out. Okay. Then we're going to start with some shoulder. We're going to just turn our arms counterclockwise and clockwise and just make circles with the hands, loosening up the shoulders, getting that body loosened up for the day. Remember to focus on your breathing as you do this. Breathing is very important especially when you get into the yoga poses and we get into some of the stretch poses. Okay, now we're going to do a 1-minute drill in which we just do a cross with our arms and just get an extension going back and forth over the head. Inhale up, exhale down, inhale back up, exhale to the side, inhale back up, exhale behind us, inhale up to the top, exhale down, and we're just going to continue this routine till we hear the gong twice. One more time. Here again, try to create that extension in the lower back, loosening up that lower back, making extra room in the lower back. As you do these, as you get into this, you may want to try a couple 2-pound weights for this if you have them nearby. Okay, from here we're going to work with the head, and we're just going to give it some slight twist. Make sure that it's supported though. You know, we do a lot of turns with our neck, and we don't realize how important it is to loosen up the neck area, the back of the head. But make sure you're doing it in a supported motion. Moving the head side to side. Okay, now we're back to a full body stretch. If you want, you can add in a cobbler pose here. We are going to do some cobbler poses later separately. So just, if you ever see the swimmers, you can get that little extra space by lifting the hips a little bit, by pushing down with your ankles and lifting the hips. And then extending the arms, again, trying to extend as much as you can in the back. Okay, from here we're going to go into bent knees, and so this is going to progress over time. You can just start moving the feet back and forth. Where you want to eventually get to is doing crunches for a minute. So this is going to be a 2 gong. Here again, start off maybe just moving the feet, maybe just lifting one foot, then the other, and eventually trying to get to a crunch or a pulse. So keep doing this for the next 20 seconds or so. Okay, now we're just going to sway the knees back and forth. So this, you can just start at the top and just sway back and forth just very lightly, and then keep moving it. Each time you're moving it, you're giving that lower back extension a little more movement. And those are going to prepare you later for your side twists that are critical to that lower back. Okay, we're going to do this for another 30 seconds till the next gong. Then we're going to go into the cobbler pose on the next gong. The cobbler pose is basically your feet together, and you bring them up, your knees bent, toes touching one another, knees spread apart, and you can put your hands on your hips and give yourself a little bit of distance there. Matter of fact, it helps to push the hips away a little bit and elongate that spine again. Here again, we're focusing on the spine and the hip area, trying to get that extra extension. This is a great pose, very comfortable. If you want to raise your arms over your head to get a little bit more stretch in the shoulders and push down on the knees, feel free, pushing it away. Okay, the next pose is the right, clasp your hands and bring them in front of your knee, and just bring your knee up into your chest. You can just lay straight back. Eventually you want to maybe lift your chin to your knee if you can, or your forehead to your knee. And just over time, as you work through this series every day, you'll find that things loosen up a little bit. Remember, it didn't take 4 weeks to make everything this tight. You're not going to loosen everything up in 4 weeks. Okay, on the gong, you switch to the left foot, hands clasped around the knee. Can either just lay straight back and bring the knee back into your chest, using that clasped hands to pull them in closer, or you can raise your head a little bit. Whatever you feel comfortable. If anything hurts, stop doing it, relax. Modify the pose to something easier. Okay, now we're going to do a straight leg stretch in which we raise the right leg, put our hands behind the hamstring in a clasp motion, and just gently breathe in and pull the leg back towards your chest as straight as you can. Try not to cheat on this one. If you have to, put the leg down further. But if you can, over time, you'll bring this closer and closer. Now we go into the left leg, foot facing the ceiling, straight up. Here again, just making that stretch. Okay, on the next gong, we're going to put the left foot over the right knee and clasp behind the hamstring. This is more of a hip opener than anything else. So on the next gong, we're just going to gently bring the ankle down to the knee, grab underneath, and just pull back a little bit. And this is what you can do is take your left elbow and push on the thigh and pull back with the clasped hands to give yourself a little bit more of a stretch. You should really be feeling this in the lower back and the hips, and it's a great exercise to loosen everything up. On the next gong, we're just going to switch sides. Right ankle over the left knee, hands clasped behind the hamstring, and there again, just bring it back up, maybe pulse it, maybe push down on the elbow into the knee. And on the next gong, we're going to go into a cobbler pose again. So just remember to breathe in. Watch your breathing here. Okay, so now we're going to go into cobbler pose. Here again, maybe pushing down on the tops of the thighs to make that extension in the lower back. This is a great pose. It just helps open things up. Gets that lower back, the hips loosened up. You can even work on the shoulders with this one. All right, on the next gong, we're going to go into a full body stretch again. So there's two options here. You can either keep the cobbler pose and do a full body stretch, or you can do the full body stretch. So I'll start off with the cobbler pose, and then we'll go into then I'll just go back into the full body stretch for you. So that's that nice open pose. Feel the comfortable pose, and then maybe just go into the full body pose here, full body stretch. Okay. For the next pose, we're going to start doing our twists. And so our twists, our arms will be at a T, and we'll start, there's a couple of variations of this, and we're going to twist to the right, and we're going to do these for a minute. So you can either have your knee on top of it on one another, or you can bend one knee over the other and stretch. But just start off what's most comfortable for you. As we get into the stretch, and you breathe into that lower back, and you expand those muscles, on the exhale, you can lift that foot out to get a little bit deeper into the stretch. You can also take your right hand behind your hamstring and pull it up a little bit to give it that extra stretch as you're breathing in. And then on the next gong, we're just going to switch to the other side. That's just giving you the nice hamstring stretch, stretches out the outer of the knee, stretches the hips. Okay, now we're going to twist to the left. You can turn your head to the right, twist over, breathe into the pose, breathe into that lower back, breathe in, feel that you're breathing into the hamstring area. And as you breathe in, maybe extend that leg out to give you a little more stretch. If you want to do a cross one knee over the other, that will give you a little more stretch. Or another modification is grabbing the hamstring or behind the knee with your hand and just gently pushing up. Again, don't overdo it. You don't want to rip any muscles. You just want to expand them. So it takes time. As you do this exercise routine for a month, you'll find your flexibility increases more and more. giving you that ability to go throughout the day with hopefully less pain. Okay, so we've got one more gong to go for the left side. Okay, and then from the twist, we're going to go into the bridge pose. So the bridge pose is just with your feet flat on the bed. Just lift up the hips a little bit. You can clasp your hands underneath. Here is the exercise. If you want to use the block, you can put the block underneath and just relax. Or you can pulse up and down to just get that little stretch, that extra stretch, and build some of that strength back into there. You can turn it sideways if you want. It's going to sink in on the bed, of course, but if you can't pulse, you can at least get that pose. Now this is a 1-minute pose, so we're going to go for the second gong yet. Here again, another way of doing this is moving the hips to the left and to the right. That's a harder variation, so work with it on the easier side and then work your way up to the harder ones. Again, just lifting the hips up. Your shoulders should be in the bed comfortably. The back of your head, the neck should not be stretched. It should be all even. Okay, next we're going to go into Happy Baby, which is basically grabbing the outside of your feet. You can, if you want, you can twist that lower back, slide back and forth on the lower back to loosen those muscles up. Again, it's like a mini massage to the back there. Okay, from here we're going to go to what are called the bow poses. So a bow pose is taking your left hand to your left ankle, straightening up, you're sitting up on your elbow, and you pull back and get that stretch, pulling your shoulder forward as you can, and just letting that extra stretch go into that hamstring. Okay, then we're going to switch to the other side. Again, resting on your elbow, taking your right hand back to your right foot, and then stretching that hamstring back, bringing the shoulder back, maybe looking up over the shoulder, loosening that neck a little bit again. Okay, after this we're going to go into a sequence where we're laying flat and we're going to do what's called the up dog, or you can do cobra. I would start with the up dog. There's a little bit of a variation as to in the cobra, you're pushing back more into that lower back, making it bend. With the upward dog, you're just kind of letting everything relax in to the ground, your hips. On a bed, it's a little bit different. There isn't a great variation between both. We're going to go for 1 minute in this pose. Then from this pose, we're going to go to an easy cat-cow. So breathe into that lower back, let things expand. Feel how good that feels to let that stretch. We've been working a lot of stretches the other way. Now we get a good counter stretch going for us to do a back bend. Now we're going to do cat-cows, and I'm going to turn around for you so that you can see these, but you can stay the way you were. Basically, it's arching the back, then bring it down into the cow. Inhaling up to the arch, exhaling to a cow. Inhaling to the arch, exhaling, lowering down. You can even do wagging the dog, we call it, just shifting your hips back and forth, maybe moving a little bit, loosening everything up. Okay, this is another 1 minute pose because this is a good way to get that extra stretch going for both a pose and a counter pose. So it arches the back and then sinks that belly down in. Okay, from the cat-cow, we're going to go into child's pose. So to go in a child pose, you want to spread your knees, you want the toes of your feet to kiss, and then you want to push back, and you want to work yourself down into a comfortable pose where you lean back, sit back, pushing your buttocks back into your feet. You can raise up on your wrists if you want and work the shoulders. Eventually you just want to be comfortable laying down in the child's pose. Okay, on the next pose, what we're going to do is we're going to just do a forward fold. So we're just going to bring our legs out, getting ready to finish the end of the pose series. And this is where you can use the strap if you'd like. Maybe take it around your feet. And then just want to do a forward fold. Gently working that lower back one last time. Getting that last stretch of the morning before you get out of bed. It's a great routine to get you going every morning. As you get older, you've got the aches and pains. You really want to find a way to get everything moving, blood circulating, get the muscles moving back and forth, getting the oxygen into the blood, out to all the various parts of the body. Our last pose is you can either do Shavasana, which is laying straight back with your arms out to the side, your legs spread apart just a little bit, or another way, another exercise is just to put your feet up at the wall if you can, and let the blood rush to your head. Here we'll go for 2 more gongs, and then that will end the program for this morning. So here you're back to your normal breathing. You've worked everything. You've gotten blood to the head. You've worked the lower back. You've worked your wrists, your shoulders. Everything should be lubricated and ready to start the day, focusing on elongating that spine. As you go through the day, make sure you keep a good structure throughout the day, shoulders back, don't slouch, and that will help you throughout the day. Thank you very much for viewing this session of the morning routine of stretching and yoga from the bed. Thanks.